Hello and welcome to this edition of the Legal Podcast powered by Indialaw LLP. I am Suresh Pallav, partner, and we have with us Mr. Suresh Hulikal, a leading architect and a technical expert on matters related to building projects. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Suresh.
Yeah, hi. Myself Suresh Hulikal. So I'm into architectural consultancy services. Started in 2001. So we render design and regulatory approvals for the projects in BMC limits, wherein we cover development, redevelopment, and various types of mixed-use developments. So we started with eastern suburbs, and we have extended our horizons in western suburb and city as well. And we also are doing few educational buildings and institutional projects in Navi Mumbai and planning to expand furthermore in MMR region.
Okay, let us get into the first question now. For a typical cooperative housing society in the suburbs, what are the first three technical parameters you check to assess redevelopment potential under DCPR 2034?
Yeah, since it's pertaining to the redevelopment of a society in suburbs, apart from the title, so it depends upon the location, the size of the plot, and the road abutting to it. Because the FSI is derived based on the width of the road, and it will be redeveloped under 33(7)(b) of DCPR 2034. So if the size of the plot is quite decent, so we go through the pro forma, then what is the FSI conceived earlier, what benefit can we propose by utilizing the incentive FSI, TDR, additional
Correct.
FSI, and then we work out the.
Certainly, certainly. So also, if you can add to like what is the floating FSI, and you can highlight more on floating FSI, how that has to be.
Now, floating FSI is an interesting concept wherein it can be clubbed with a property in city, like cess property. So 33(7) is what we refer for redevelopment of cess property, wherein a floating FSI can be clubbed with this scheme, and there is no cap. The best thing is there is no cap for it. So it depends how much we can design, plan, construct, and consume.
So when you say there is no cap, what exactly that does mean? Because maybe for the general public it would be better.
Yeah, for example, 33(7) has an FSI of 3 plus incentive. Suppose if I'm developing a plot of around 3,500 square meter at Lower Parel or Worli, and if to make it more viable, because city there are cases wherein the FSI consumed is more
Okay.
than 1.33 than the zonal FSI. So in such cases, we go for incentive FSI, and then we also club with floating,
Okay.
which makes the projects more viable considering the location and the sale price. So if we are able to consume like up to, say if there are no restrictions, so it's up to us how better we plan and consume the entire FSI. So we can go beyond 3 plus fungible plus additional FSI
Right.
under floating 33(7)(22), club with 33(7) and 33(22).
Correct.
So that helps us to make it more viable.
So when it comes to society, how should these societies read concepts like permissible FSI and fungible FSI when negotiating with the developers or even for the self-redevelopment options? Because as a lawyer also we have seen that the societies are not much aware of the concept like what is permissible, what is fungible. Certainly, and there is a kind of a confusion also which we usually come across when there are different society members, they approach different people, and there is a half knowledge, or you should not say that, but still this is some of most of the things which we have come across. So we wanted to highlight, if you can highlight from a technical perspective, it would be helpful.
Ideally, yeah, this being a purely technical thing, society should opt for an experienced PMC, wherein the PMC will guide them. Yeah, so based on the width of the road, the FSI is determined basis the width of the road, and it is better to understand the potential of your property. And then, so now recently they have also been like we do go for clubbing. So basic FSI, what we get, the zonal FSI, TDR, additional FSI, and incentive added with, we can also offer clubbing 33(7)(b) with 33(20)(b), 33(7)(b) with 33(12)(b), and if the size permits, We can also offer cluster development scheme.
Okay. We can certainly get into cluster later on.
Yeah.
But as of now, we wanted to understand more of a fungible FSI and permissible FSI. So you have addressed it very well.
Fungible is like has to be like it's for the rehab component, that is the existing members. They like it's nothing but it has been compensated in the form of balcony. Earlier they used to allow flower bed balconies and all, so which has been eliminated, and they have introduced something called fungible, which belongs to the rehab component
Correct.
and to the individual flat, respective flats.
So that is it like those FSI which earlier maybe the developers were exploiting and it was sold,
Yeah.
and now this is clearly going to the owners or the
Owners.
existing members,
Yeah,
right?
so this helps in like there won't be any misuse of FSI, and it is on the built up area of your individual flat. That
Right.
is built up area of flat, excluding the area of balcony, on which we get 35% fungible FSI to the respective flat owners, and it is free of any premium.
Okay.
So for the sale component, builder will have to buy it, and for the rehab, it is free.
So they don't have to pay anything additional to it. So the burden may not come to the existing
Yeah,
members.
right, right.
Right. Understood. So further, in your experience, what differentiate a well-planned cooperative housing society redevelopment from one that gets stuck in approvals or because of the members' dispute? So basically, we want to ask like, what is the right approach a society needs to take well in advance so that there should not be any kind of a chaos, or even when there is a situation like there are certain approvals going on, and because of the long duration of the getting approvals, it should not get stuck anywhere. And of course, you know that how the members disputes are. Yeah.
Right. So to basically there should be a clarity on what we are going to do. There should be a transparency, and the members should be updated with the scheme, with the potential of the plot, and what exactly is going to be built, and what are the benefits. So whether they opt for self-redevelopment, whether they opt for DA model, DM model. So the basic thing is they need to understand the potential, and depending upon the regulation what would be applicable, the scheme whatever is applicable, once the insight is given and explained to each and every member in detail, I don't think there would be any confusion. Only thing is the entire scheme has to be planned well in advance, the scheme, the stages of approval, and the design concepts.
So basically, if the all those consultants, including legal consultants, technical experts
Right.
like you, and all the other consultants which are required for redevelopment project needs to be taken into consideration well in advance. So they should be engaged, right? So that they can interact with the society members, and they can give the right approach for the redevelopment project.
Yeah, in many cases I have seen the title, like the plot has not been conveyed in the name of society,
Absolutely correct.
the name of society has not been transferred in property card. So right from the title, then transfer of ownership,
Correct.
then transfer of flats, then once that has been like that is rectified or updated, then we can introduce them with the schemes, the benefits, the incentives, and then the model.
Correct. So basically, when we also advise our clients when it comes to society redevelopment projects, we also tell them that you should engage especially legal consultant and technical experts well in advance,
Right.
so that first of all we can have a idea about your title history, so that in case there is a developer who is coming in, he
Right.
shouldn't have many queries. We should be in a position to address those queries. And also, if they are going for self redevelopment, what are the chances when they can get financing to develop their own project? And of course, when it comes to feasibility and all, then people like you, the technical experts, come into picture, and they can give a forecast. And of course, the numbers play a larger role that needs to be explained well in advance, and some things needs to be anticipated,
Right.
because it's a project and it would be long term, and since many people are involved in this kind of projects. Exactly.
And it all depends upon the location, the size, and a lot of factors. They play a major role. The connectivity, the you know, the
Right.
kind of response we get for the sale. So everything matters.
Correct, correct. So, and there are like, of course, there are societies, but we also come across nowadays cluster redevelopment schemes and all,
Yeah.
right? So, if I can ask you, like, what are the technical and regulatory triggers that push a present from standalone society redevelopment to a full-fledged cluster scheme?
Yeah, in most of the cases, most of the plots have been affected by road widening, and due to which they lose most of the area, like 20%, 25, 30, 40% of the plot area has been merged under the road setback.
Right.
That reduces your the plot area, and the consumed FSI is more, and in such cases the project becomes less viable.
Right.
So in such cases, either we suggest them to club with any two schemes, or if it is possible to club plots, adjoining plots, and if we are able to match the criteria for cluster, so that in that way we can incentivize and make it more viable,
Okay.
and that creates more open space
So
and
basically,
better
for a
planning. Yeah.
so basically for cluster, there should be more than one society, or how it
Like
would
if
be.
you're planning for a cluster in suburb, the criteria is the plot area should be 6,000 plus, above 6,000 square meter, and it should be abutting to 18.3 meter wide DP road. If not, then there is a bit of relaxation wherein if it is abutting to 12-meter wide DP road and it is within the radius of 500 meter from 18.3 wide DP road, then the HPC, High Power Committee, can consider this based on this merits, and we can opt for a cluster development scheme in suburbs. Similarly, in city, the criteria is less. The plot area reduces to 4,000 square meter.
Yeah. So in cluster, can we also consider those societies which are on the opposite side of your road? Is there anything which government is thinking of to include those societies?
Uh, yeah, in certain cases,
Okay.
certain cases, um, if the like in certain cases we can. So
Okay.
many of the times, what if the sharing component, what we are supposed to hand over to MADA, maybe we can propose it on the opposite side, and
Okay.
we can merge those members in the scheme which is on the larger plot.
Understood. Understood. Okay. So that's a question which we thought of because usually clusters are all the adjoining,
Yeah,
different
adjoining.
societies and
Right,
all.
right, right.
So yeah. Okay. So since we are talking about the FSI fungible, now I want to move also to a fungible FSI and TDR and other components. So my question to you is, how do you explain to your clients the difference between the base FSI and incentive FSI as per the DCPR, especially if you have to differentiate between island city and the suburbs?
Yeah, as I explained earlier, Island City, the base FSI in Island City is up to 1.33, whereas in suburb it is 1. And depending upon the width of the road, like basically the plot which are abutting to road width below 9 meter, they get 1 plus fungible, and 9 and above till 12, they're eligible for 2, 12 and above, they're eligible for 2.2, then 18,
Okay.
2.4, then 27, 2.5, plus fungible. Fungible is applicable in all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in your practice, how you decide when loading TDR makes sense for a plot, and what are the typical mistakes societies make to understand the TDR potential?
So TDR, as I explained earlier, so if unless and until the project is viable, there is no point in redeveloping it. And to make it more viable, we need to utilize the entire FSI, and so TDR is one of the component.
Okay.
Like additional FSI, we buy it from the government, and it is linked with the ready reckoner rate.
Okay.
It is directly linked with the ready reckoner rate and the TDR. TDR, we have slum TDR as well as general TDR. So 20% of the permissible TDR is mandatory for slum, and rest is general TDR. So normally the rates of TDR fluctuate depending upon the market condition. And yeah, of course, they will have to utilize these TDR, additional FSI, fungible, and everything, make it more viable. And
Okay. So, adding to that, when there is a society, we have come across certain societies wherein there some societies have certain open area as per the new DP and all those are terms as garden or maybe as per all.
right.
So, when we have similar kind of situation, then what do you advise to the society and how do the developers or a proposal is considered to utilize any FSI is available for those areas or if any handover needs to be given to the government bodies
Right.
or any other aspects. If you have something to say about it, it would be
So, as per the earlier DCR, that is 1991, so there was a, like, it was mandatory to provide RG, recreational ground. So, any plot area about 2125 square meter would attract deductible RG. Below that, we used to provide physical RG about 2125 till 10,000 square meter, about 10,000 square meter. So there was a concept called deductible RG. So 15%, up to 15% of the entire plot or the net plot area, we used to provide RG and which was deducted from FSI. In few cases, even the internal access road also has been deducted. So this is a blessing in disguise because the DCPR 2034, though they insist for RG, now it is called as LOS, layout open space, but you need not have to deduct it from the FSI. So whatever when we go for redevelopment of larger layouts, so we get that unused FSI,
okay.
and that really helps us in making it more viable.
Okay.
And that belongs, like, since being a unused FSI in the plot potential, the society has an upper edge apart from the fungible. So this unused FSI will make it more beneficial. Plus the incentive FSI. There are a lot of things which can be clubbed and can be benefited.
So basically, this can also benefit the society members.
Yeah, obviously.
And their like commercial understanding with the developers can
Right.
change.
So the dynamics, the whole dynamics
Whole
will
dynamics
change.
might change.
But they have also introduced with amenity plot. So plot area
Yeah.
exceeding 4,000 square meter, you need to provide 5% as an amenity
That was my
plot.
next question. I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
Like, how do you accommodate amenities and all? Because we have seen that, especially when it comes to redevelopment of the building, all these old buildings may not have the amenities which nowadays the developers provide. So,
So this amenity, what I am referring to is we need to hand over certain portion of our land, that is 5%, that is 4,000. From 4,000 to 10,000 square meter, we need to hand over 5% of a plot area as an amenity plot to BMC.
okay.
Wherein, like, they will provide a social amenity and something, whatever is required in that ward.
Certainly.
That would be.
So this would be kind of an handover to the BMC?
Yeah, so physically we'll part away physically, as well as even the title of that plot has to be handed over to the corporation.
Correct.
But they do compensate in terms of FSI.
Okay.
So we get the FSI of the entire plot, and which earlier was deducted and was compensated in the form of TDR, but they have modified it, and now we are we can claim that on the gross plot area.
Okay. Okay. Great. So if I have to, like, of course, we are discussing about society redevelopment, and you have also you have given us the distinction between what are the amenities which the society people are expecting and what are the technical amenities which actually needs to be handed over to the BMC or the corporation. Similarly, I believe that there would be something like if there is a road passing through as per the existing DP or the like what are the things which we like, how the FSI will play a role when it comes to a road handover? Will it be similar to amenities? What you explained or
Yeah, so if my plot is affected, for example, there is a plot in suburb, and if my plot is affected by road widening, so obviously it will be deducted from my gross plot area. So the FSI permissible would be on the net plot area, but the area which I am supposed to hand over would be compensated twice over and above the permissible FSI. So I get to claim the area of the road which has been handed over to the corporation in terms of like over and above the permissible FSI. So that is a good thing as compared to the earlier, like because it was within the cap, now it is above the cap.
okay. And in terms of sorry, when it comes to mix development or redevelopment projects, like there is a residential plus commercial, so you have already covered the social
Right,
amenities and all, but
right.
when it comes to mix and development, redevelopment, commercial, when the commercial
Yeah,
aspects, like what are
so
the
it
norms?
entirely depends upon the location if I'm able to exploit it. So if I feel ki there is a good potential for mixed use development, so I can, and if
So
the size of the plot, if I can design a building wherein the commercial building can be segregated and even the residential, and if there is a huge demand, so of course I can exploit it to the max, and that will be benefited to the developer as well as to the members of the society.
are there any regulatory, kind of hurdles which you face, which usually discourage like genuinely this kind of mixed use project?
Nothing as such,
Nothing else.
because the zoning DP 2034 is already planned, and there are zones, designated zones, and based on the width of the road, based on the location, based on the size of the plot, and depending upon the demand, I can go for a mixed use development. And the metro line, the newly proposed, the newly functional metro line also helps us in incentivizing.
I think here we have covered most of the things what usually every member in the society would like to know, especially all the dilapidated conditions buildings or old buildings wherein there is a need to go for a redevelopment. This would be really helpful for them to understand what are the technicalities and what are the things which need to take care in advance, and what should be the right approach towards the redevelopment projects. As sir has rightly mentioned, that the project feasibility has to be taken care of in advance, and certainly when it comes to title, that is the first and foremost thing, because if you are going for a self redevelopment project, then the title plays a larger role. And also when it comes to redevelopment through a developer, still a title is required, but otherwise the developer may not be interested, or he might even uh, kind of won't give you the kind of commercial what you deserve. So this is what we can understand from the discussion with sir about redevelopment of the building projects.